This is a really important topic to me, to Senator Warner, Senator Cardin, and other members, Senator Whitehouse. We know tax policy is important, and we've got a historic new tax legislation the IRS is trying to implement, but perennially, we have these taxpayer service issues and tax administration issues that are going to arise, and so this hearing is an opportunity to examine current issues related to tax administration.
Hit the gavel.
Particular focus, gavel's being hit right now. Is that loud enough? Particular focus on customer service and information technology, interaction with practitioners. We have some practitioners here, low-income taxpayers, and tax administration issues related to workers in the high-tech economy we're now in, the gig economy. Senator Hatch and Ranking Member Wyden gave us the opportunity to hold this hearing. I appreciate that. And again, Ranking Member Warner, I appreciate your being here today. This is not just important, but it's timely. This week marks 20 years since the last time we went through any major reform at the IRS. And it's time to do it again. During that time, there was a clear need for IRS reform. IRS calls were being unanswered by the thousands. Sound familiar? Calls that were being answered were often incorrect. Agency had spent $3 billion on IT systems that weren't working. Bottom line, the American public had lost faith in the institution, and we created this commission. I was honored to co-chair that with then Senator Bob Kerrey. We published a comprehensive report that became the basis for that legislation 20 years ago. Senator Cardin, by the way, was original author of that legislation with me, along with Senator Hatch and Ranking Member Wyden. So there are a lot of members on the committee now who are very involved in that. And unfortunately, in the years since, after some sustained improvement, we have now gotten to the point where we're back to some of these very same issues again. And once again, the agency tasked with helping Americans carry out one of their most basic duties is failing to serve the taxpayers in an effective manner. So it's an opportunity now to reboot again. Congress, I think, has an interest in doing this. I know Senator Wyden and Chairman Hatch have been involved already in putting forward solutions to some of the things that the IRS is struggling with. And I support those, and I support what the House has done. But we think there's more to do as well. And this is why today I introduced with Senator Cardin the Protecting Taxpayer Act. It's bipartisan legislation to make the IRS more responsive and accountable to taxpayers. We'll talk about that a little today. Its goals are to revitalize the organizational structure and the management side, to increase taxpayer protections, to improve small business and retirement plan tax administration, better serve low-income taxpayers, overhaul the IRS appeals process, and strengthen the IRS IT infrastructure. All this is critical to the agency, but I'd really like to get feedback from you all on a couple of things. First, we completely rethink one of the key provisions of the '98 Reform Bill, which was the IRS Oversight Board. And when we originally thought of the idea of this board back in 1998, our intent was to create sort of a board of directors for the IRS that would help guide the direction and the long-term strategy of the agency, provide private sector expertise along with experience. And every administration since then really has not supported the Oversight Board, including the current one, and as a result, it's fallen by the wayside. In fact, the board suspended operations a couple years ago, and there's technically only one member left out of 9. So we want to get this board functioning again, but functioning in a way that is originally intended. And I think it has a lot to offer in turning the agency around, particularly in areas like customer service, IT modernization, budgeting, and so on. So that's one thing I want to get your input on. Also, IRS appeals process. You recall in the '98 Reform Bill, we created more than 50 new taxpayer rights, including the right to an independent appeal, and then 3 years later took steps toward codifying some of those in the taxpayer bill of rights, including an independent appeal. But in recent years, these independent appeals have declined as more cases are being sent to tax court, amounting to a 70% increase since 2000. So that's not what was intended, I don't believe. And further, the IRS continues to issue new guidance and procedures that makes it harder for all taxpayers to access this appeals process. So we need to talk about that today. Overall, I think it's clear, and I'm sure we'll hear as much from the witnesses today, that Congress needs to build on the progress we've made way back in '98 and engage in this new set of reforms for the IRS. I'm interested in hearing from my colleagues today on it, and of course the witnesses here before us. I thank you for being here, and I would like to hear from the ranking member.